Welcome back, everybody. You're here at Yesteryear TV, and these are the best horror films that came out in the year 2012. We got a big list. We're going to get right into it. So if you were scared, you love horror movies, this is the place to be. Click subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's begin. These are the best horror films that scared everyone worldwide in 2012. Let's get started. Two-headed shark attack. Survivors escape to a deserted atoll after their boat during a semester at sea ship is sunk by a mutated two-headed shark. So if you like Jaws, you'll love Two-Headed Shark. 100 Bloody Acres. Reg and Lindsay run an organic fertilizer business. They need a fresh supply of their secret ingredient to process through the meat grinder. I wonder what that can be. 100 Bloody Acres. The Woman in Black. A young solicitor travels to a remote village where he discovers that the vengeful ghost of a scorned woman is terrorizing the locals. The Women in Black. Parasitic. A group of friends become trapped inside a nightclub with an unseen terror. Unable to escape, one at a time they fall victim to the ravenous, bloodthirsty beast. Parasitic. Gallow Walkers. A cursed gunman whose victims come back from the dead recruits a young warrior to help them fight against a gang of zombies. So if you like zombies, you'll love Gallow Walkers. 6 Degrees of Hell. 6 individuals are caught up in a supernatural perfect storm as an evil lays claim to one of them while threatening to tear apart the soul of small Pennsylvania town. 6 Degrees of Hell. Rogue River. While spreading her father's ashes, Mara meets John, who offers to give her a ride. Risking everything to escape this hell she's entered, she won't stop running until she finds safety. Rogue River. The Apparition. A couple is haunted by a supernatural presence that is unleashed during a college experiment. The Apparition. Horror and thriller. We love it. We love it. Grabbers. When an island off the coast of Ireland is invaded by blood-sucking aliens, the heroes discover that getting drunk is the only way to survive. Grabbers. This looks like a fun movie. So if you're going to die, may as well get drunk. Sweet Prudence and the Erotic Adventure of Bigfoot. Sex comedy about a group of people who are sexually adventurous and decide to spend their summer in a resort by the lake. Unbeknownst, Bigfoot is there. This is a horror and comedy. Donner Pass. Donner Pass has a well-known and macabre history. The place where George Donner and his party got stuck in the winter of 1846 and were forced to resort to cannibalism to survive. The Cloth. A godless man is recruited by a secret organization who works to combat demonic possessions in order to prepare a new generation in the battle against evil forces. Osama. You know Osama bin Laden? Look, Osama. Derek believes bin Laden survived the sea burial. In Afghanistan, Dusty meets NATO forces on a covert mission. Derek's theory proves true as Osama returns, creating zombie terrorists. How cool is that? Pora 3D. 3 young musicians think they have luck on their side when they score the keys to a beautiful villa outside of Rome for the weekend. Unfortunately, they soon discover that they are not alone. Kill Zombie. The bizarre story takes place in Amsterdam, where a virus turns people into bloodthirsty zombies. Although much blood is flowing and many limbs chopped off, there is a lot to laugh at this bizarre horror comedy. Monsters in the Woods. A micro-budget movie crew treks into the wilderness to shoot horror scenes for their unsellable indie drama. They soon find themselves in the midst of their own real horror movie, as they are hunted by a large group of creatures. Black Forest. Two couples plan to spend a week in an empty farmland located in Germany's Black Forest. Who will survive? Thriller, horror, Black Forest. Strippers versus werewolves, dark comedy and horror. When werewolf Mickey is accidentally killed in a strip club, the girls who work there have until the next full moon before his bloodthirsty wolf pack seeks murderous retribution. Geo Tokyo Fish Attack. The friends Karo, Erika, and Aki are on vacation to celebrate their upcoming graduation, when suddenly an infestation of mysterious walking fish forces them to reevaluate everything. Night of the Living Dead 3D reanimation. I just saw this movie. After inheriting the family mortuary, a prolific mortician accidentally exposes hundreds of uncremated bodies to toxic medical waste. Night of the Living Dead 3D reanimation. We love it. We love it. Ritual. A man wakes up from being buried alive in the woods with no memory of who he is. Ritual. Psychological thriller and horror. I Am Zozo. On Halloween night, 5 teens decide to liven up their party with some innocent fun by summoning the spirits. I Am Zozo. Horror and thriller. Eddie, the sleepwalking cannibal. A painter struggling for inspiration finds an unexpected muse after he accepts a teaching position in a small town and becomes the caregiver to Eddie. Comedy and horror. The Butterfly Room. A reclusive and butterfly-obsessed elderly lady suffering from bipolar disorder develops a disturbing relationship with a mysterious but seemingly innocent youngster. Horror and thriller. Nail-biter. The McGuire family is forced to take sudden refuge from a deadly tornado in a seemingly abandoned storm cellar. Nail-biter. Horror. Fear will surface. Seance. The Summoning. 4 friends decide to record themselves having a seance. When they summon a demon by mistake, they'll have to find a way to drive the demon out before it destroys them all. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. Dead Weight. Charlie is traveling through the wilderness to find his girlfriend Samantha after civilization is destroyed by widespread biological attacks. Drama, horror, and thriller. Dead Weight. Requiem for the Damned. Edgar Allan Poe. For nearly 200 years, his stories of the macabre have shocked and terrified audiences, and now, inspired by 5 of Poe's most terrifying tales, 5 filmmakers have abandoned together to create the ultimate tribute to the master. Ghoul. Centers on a group of friends who risk their lives to stop who or what is behind a rash of disappearances in their town. Ghoul. Gut. Family man Tom has seen something he can't forget. A mysterious video with an ugly secret that soon spreads into his daily life and threatens to dismantle everything around him. Gut. The Dead Want Women. Beginning at a stylish mansion in the roaring 1920s, a socialite flappers and the men who love them come to the ultimate demise. Horror. The Dead Want Women. Zombies. Axed. A strict father loosens up enough to let his children take a day off school for a trip to the countryside. But things turn darker when the family realize he is planning to make it their last outing ever. How sad. He wants to kill his family. Jersey Shore Shark Attack. A cast of characters strikingly similar to the cast of Jersey Shore trying to survive an epidemic of shark attacks in Miami Beach. Next up we have is Cockneys versus Zombies. A gang of bank robbers fight their way out of a zombie-infested London. Pretty cool, right? So you got Cockney bank robbers and zombies. Next up we have is Dead Season. After a global virus creates zombies hunting survivors, 2 people escape America's mayhem for an isolated island seeking to rebuild their lives. Dead Season. Piranaconda. And we love Piranaconda. Piranaconda hybrid creatures hunt down the scientists who stole their egg, as well as a film crew making a slasher film in the jungle. Piranaconda. Dead Time. A Birmingham-based band are ordered by their unhappy record company to an old warehouse, the goal being to restart their ailing careers with a kick-ass new promo video. But one by one they die. Spirit Stalkers. The Spirit Stalkers reality show, once a big hit, faces cancellation without a rating boost, which leads the investigative team to Gloria Talon, whose house is already rampant with ghosts. The Facility. 8 volunteers find themselves fighting for their lives when a drug trial goes horribly wrong. The Facility. Horror and thriller. You'll love it. You'll love it. Girls Gone Dead. A group of 6 ex-high school cheerleaders are stalked by a killer with a medieval warhammer and battle axe during their first spring break from college. Comedy and horror. Portrait of a Zombie. When son Billy becomes a zombie, the family chooses to take care of him in the home, much to the chagrin of the neighbors and the local crime boss. A family is keeping a zombie alive. How do they feed it? See? Gangsters, guns, and zombies. The whole zombie thing has been hyped so much that everyone thinks it's the end of the world. Comedy and horror. Notice how in 2012, we have a lot of zombie movies. We love zombies, so 2012 is a great year for zombie movies. Smiley. After discovering an urban legend of a demented serial killer who has nothing but a carved smiley on his face, a mentally fragile teenager must figure out if she's going insane. I like Smiley. Devil Seed. College student Alex experiences strange events after a night out drinking. She suffers from injuries, visions, and a supernatural assault. Devil Seed. Next up we have is Call of the Undead. A virus gets loose in Taipei. Army and SWAT teams oversee evacuations, but in Ximending, the gangs don't want the police. Horror and sci-fi. Zombies versus strippers. Again, the zombies. The Tough Titty is a strip club that's seen better days. Spider has been losing money on his business for years. Now it's finally getting the traffic he's always wanted. Unfortunately, most of the patrons are undead. We love it. We love it. Look, Zombie Field. How many zombie movies are there? A zombie outbreak begins at a club, leaving locals to fight for survival, while a brutal serial killer adds to the body count. Only 2 people know the truth, and the infection is just the beginning. True Bloodthirst. Set in a not-too-distant future in which a synthetic blood substitute dispensed by the Romanian government allows humans and vampires to potentially coexist. The Haunting of the Whaley House. I live like about a mile and a half from the Whaley House, just so you know. When a tour guide breaks into America's most haunted house, a bit of amateur ghost hunting with friends turned into more than they could ever imagine. Yeah, I'm in San Diego, and Old Town's like about a mile and a half from my house. The Whaley House. Jurassic Shark. When an oil company unwittingly unleashes a prehistoric shark from its icy prison, the Jurassic Killer maroons a group of thieves and beautiful young female college students, and one by one they die. No Tell Motel. We love it. Dirty little secrets are exposed when 5 friends become stranded at an abandoned motel, haunted by a dark secret of its own. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. I love that quote. Creep Van. A 20-something slacker gets caught up in a deadly game of cat and mouse after answering a for sale sign placed on a dilapidated van. Creep Van. We love it. Come Down. 6 friends who turn the tower block they lived in as kids into a pirate radio station soon learn they are not alone, as a resident psychopath begins hunting them down. Come Down. A Night of Nightmares. When the world is infected by a devastating disease, a man is forced to take shelter in his home. A Night of Nightmares. We love it. We love it. 100 Ghost Street, The Return of Richard Speck. In 2010, paranormal investigators tried to film Richard Speck's ghost at the site of his heinous killing spree. The Return of Richard Speck. You know people are going to die in this movie. Oh, it was found footage. The Ghost Maker. A group of friends use an ancient coffin to experience the world as ghosts, inspired by true events. Fantasy, horror, sci-fi, and thriller. The Ghost Maker. Shark Week. A group of complete strangers find themselves isolated by a wealthy madman on his island compound. So basically he's probably going to say, if you want to escape, go ahead, but you're surrounded by sharks. I mean, that's my guess. Zombies from Outer Space. Again, another zombie. Bavaria in the late 50s. Someday the life of Maria, a young girl, changes all of a sudden when she finds the body of a woman. Zombies from Outer Space. Comedy, horror, and sci-fi. A tip-off to the 50s. Wrong Turn 5. Bloodlines. A group of college students on a trip to the Mountain Man Festival on Halloween in West Virginia encounter a clan of cannibals. Wrong Turn 5. I love Wrong Turn. Among Friends. A group of friends get together for a murder mystery party, but things take a dark turn when one hijacks the evening and is out for blood. Comedy and horror. Supernatural Activity. The world's most beloved illusionist, armed with his team of oxymorons, embark on the freakiest, most adventurous paranormal investigation of all time. Mockumentary, parody, horror, and comedy. Hold Your Breath. A group of friends on a weekend camping trip find themselves being picked off one by one when one member of the group refuses to abide by the urban myth that you can breathe in evil spirits when passing cemeteries. Hold Your Breath. The Seasoning House. Sold at a brothel deep in the woods to work as a caretaker, a hapless deaf girl must summon the courage to fight for her life. The Seasoning House. Drama, horror, and thriller. Come Out and Play. A couple take a vacation to a remote island, their last holiday together before they become parents. Folk horror and thriller. Come Out and Play. Haunted High. A New England private school is visited by a demonic dead headmaster. Fantasy, horror, sci-fi, thriller. Made for TV. Haunted High is a very good movie. If you can, go check it out. I think it's on online. Bigfoot. Two former musicians face off in the hunt for legendary mountain creature. The legend is alive. B-horror, parody, action, comedy, and horror. Bigfoot. It's in the blood. When a father and son become stranded in the wild, they must confront the horrors of their past to escape with their lives. Lance Henriksen and Sean Elliott. Drama, horror, and thriller. It's in the blood. Scary or Die. 5 complete strangers attempt to escape a gruesome demise by a clown that feeds upon human flesh. You can imagine what it would do to human flesh. Check out Scary or Die. Inhuman Resources. 6 captive office workers are literally chained to their desks by a deranged former regional manager, Thomas Redmond. He assigns his human resources the impossible task of proving his innocence or suffering gruesome consequences. The Sleepless. 3 people wake up in a dark basement. They can't seem to remember how they got there. The time has stopped running. In a house where the dead are rising, the 3 begin their fight for survival. Horror mystery, The Sleepless. Lake Placid, the final chapter. Black Lake is now a crocodile sanctuary surrounded by an electric fence. When the fence is left open, a high school bus unknowingly enters the park. It's up to Reba and Sheriff to save the kids from becoming crocodile food. Last Kind Words. Eli has just moved with his family to the backwoods of Kentucky to work on the farm of a recluse, drawn into the forest that lies beyond the farm. Drama, horror, mystery, and romance. Terror of Dracula. When Jonathan Harker, a young solicitor from England, travels into the heart of the Carpathian Mountains to meet with the ancient Count Dracula, He discovers the bloody terror and plague, drama and horror. Biohazard Patient Zero. Two young scientists are swept up in a government plot to suppress the truth about a biological disaster at a genetic research facility. Action, sci-fi, horror, and thriller. I Spill Your Guts. Two friends, Dennis and Joe, join the military together. While on a routine mission, the two are quickly surrounded by enemy fire. Then they soon are approached by zombies. Crow's Nest. In the late summer of 2011, five young friends on a road trip went missing after being attacked by nomadic cannibals in a huge RV. Crow's Nest. Horror, mystery, thriller, and found footage. Symbiosis. 5 short films featuring characters whose decisions are inexorably intertwined. Symbiosis. Horror. American Horror House. It's Halloween night. A sorority house is inundated with ghosts while the house mother goes on a killing spree. American Horror House. Students Wanted for Eternity. The Harsh Light of Day. After witnessing his wife's brutal murder, Daniel Shergold makes the ultimate sacrifice and accepts the help of a dark and mysterious stranger in order to reap vengeance on those responsible. Daddy's Little Girl. In a time when a stranger danger is ever present, a single father learns that it's the ones you trust most who have to be watched the closest. In Daddy's Little Girl, how sad. Horror and thriller. Watch him be his best friend. Blood for Arena. Arena, a dying 100-year-old vampire, a motel manager, and a broken prostitute live in a world of literal and figurative decay. Blood for Arena. So she's dying, she needs blood. Foxes. A young couple trapped in a remote neighborhood are beckoned by shrieking foxes into their twilight world. Foxes. Drama, horror, sci-fi, and thriller. Thanksgiving 3. Foul-mouthed villain Turkey carves through the likes of a rapping grandma, a mindless puppet, a wig-wearing inventor, a bisexual space worm, and their equally ridiculous friends on the quest to recover the last copy of Thanksgiving. Last Will and Testament. This documentary explores the ongoing debate about the authorship of the works attributed to Shakespeare. Documentary, horror, and mystery. Last Will and Testament. The Sleepover. The town of Derry has a secret, but no one told the new kid. It's going to be a long night. Sleepover. Get it? The town of Derry. Remember It? So, kind of like a tip-off to It. The Woodsman. Morrow was an adventurer who disappeared into the forest of Belize while filming an episode of his popular web series, The Woodsman. Adventure, horror, and thriller. He is soon being attacked. Love Bite. Summertown friends work at a pie factory. Bored Jamie meets traveler Juliana. Teens go missing, warned of virgin targeting werewolf. Comedy, horror, and romance. Love Bite. Looks like she's a werewolf and she's going to be killing people. Watch. Dogman. Hanklin and Dorothy enjoy outdoor life on their Midwestern farm. That is until odd, violent incidents begin to occur towards the end of summer. What nobody realizes is that the attacker is not human and sees with a darker purpose. Bigfoot County. A trio of hikers are hunted by mountain men who keep the urban legend alive. Bigfoot Country. Horror, mystery, and thriller. Butcher Boys. A birthday celebration at a fancy restaurant leads to some friends' encounter with flesh-peddling cannibals. Action, comedy, horror, and thriller. Butcher Boys. Ghost Storm. An action-packed chase led by Hal and Ashley to save the people on this small island from a strange electrical storm, which is led by angry souls from a mass suicide looking for revenge. Ghost Storm. Action, horror, and sci-fi. I Miss You. Two middle schoolers Sue and June become friends and grow close. However, an unforeseen tragedy strikes, separating them from each other. Action, crime, drama, horror, and mystery. I miss you. 12, 12, 12. When baby Sebastian is born on December 12th, 2012, everyone around him starts to die. Pretty soon his mother realizes that her son is the spawn of hell. 12, 12, 12. Decay. A group of PhD students who work at the Large Hadron Collider find themselves in an emergency situation as a result of a problem with the accelerator. Horror. Decay. Real evil. Struggling filmmakers Katie and Corey James finally catch the break they were looking for when they were hired to shoot a behind-the-scenes documentary for a major studio production. The evil is real. Real evil. Robin Hood, Ghosts of Sherwood. While battling the Nottingham sheriff, Robin Hood and his band of merry men are slain. To start over these horrific turn of events, Marion and Little John attempt to resurrect Robin and his comrades. The Caretaker. As a wave of vampirism sweeps the world, a small but discordant group of hole up in a country mansion in Victoria, Austria. Drama, horror, and romance. They try to escape the vampires, but the vampires find them. Lord of Darkness. Sonny. Scottish cannibal Sonny and his murderous inbred family are responsible for over 1,000 murders over the centuries. Lord of Darkness. Folk horror, crime, horror, thriller, and mystery. Static. A couple facing marital problems after losing their child finds their life together further complicated by a mysterious visitor. Drama, horror, mystery, and thriller. Static. The Mooring. Every 40 seconds a person goes missing. In northern Idaho, a group of teenage girls attended a summer camp. They were told it would be a summer of change. It was. The Mooring. Dead End. A group of students return from a weekend camping trip to find the world swarmed by zombies. The group split as they learn to adapt in this new savage world, with trying to find loved ones. Dead End. Community. The Drayman Estate has become an urban legend. Amongst the sinister stories of unsavory locals and brutal violence, several people have apparently gone missing, but even the police won't go there. Community. Rape Zombie, Lust of the Dead. A contagion turns men into violent, sexually aggressive zombies worldwide. Dark comedy and horror. It's like a dark comedy horror, sex horror. Dead Shadows. Kristen's parents were murdered on the same day the Halley's Comet was visible from Earth. 11 years later, a new comet lightens up the partisan sky, but as the night goes, people begin to transform into horrible creatures. The Battery. The personalities of two former baseball players clash as they traverse the rural backroads of a post-plague New England team with the undead. The Battery. More zombies. Dropping Evil. After his friends slip him LSD on a camping trip, ultra-nerdy Nancy hallucinates that they are evil beings and begins to systematically hunt them down. Meanwhile, a mysterious corporation monitors the entire event for their own hidden purpose. 23 minutes to sunrise. They say the darkest hour is just before dawn, and at sunrise dinner it's very late indeed. 4 couples find themselves in an out-of-the-way 24-hour diner, but they are not all as they seem. The Swiss Miss Massacre. Jasmine takes part in the Miss Switzerland elections, and the Misses camp on an exotic island. She not only meets her first love, but also death in person. Comedy and horror. Dead Mine. The legend of Yasmin's gold lures a treasure hunter and his group deep into the Indonesian jungle. Once they are trapped and abandoned by World War II Japanese bunker. Dead Mine. Para Elisa, for Elisa. When a Spanish student needs money for her senior trip, she applies for a babysitting job, unaware of the circumstances. Thriller, for Elisa. Slasher House. When Red awakens in prison cell with an old abandoned madhouse, she has no idea how she got there and why she has been placed there. Slasher House. 4 killers, 1 girl. Horror. Hayride. A college student returning home for Halloween is forced to face his childhood fears when an escaped killer takes refuge in the family's haunted hayride. Crime, drama, and horror. Kill me now. Kill me. Kill me. A group of small-town teens looking to drink a ton of beer in peace at a remote cabin in the woods find their party nearly ruined when they're stalked by a deranged killer. The Second Death. Clueless on a gruesome case, a skeptical and lonely policewoman in a small village is guided by a newly arrived clairvoyant gifted boy who claims that the murderer is the Virgin Mary. Zelo. A small crew of filmmakers are working on a television show specializing in the paranormal when they get word that a strange man is having problems with spirits inside his home. Zelo. The Secret of Crickley Hall. A year after their son goes missing, a family moves to Crickley Hall. When supernatural events begin to take place, Eve feels the house is somehow connected to her lost son. Sloppy, the Psychotic. A man whose main purpose in life is to make kids happy suddenly loses that privilege and decides to take revenge on all in a way so horrific that even the most cruelest of humans would shudder. Sloppy Psychotic. Severed footage. 12 severed feet in running shoes found on the shores of Western Canada have baffled police. A videotape is leaked anonymously from the authorities. This paranormal thriller may solve the mystery of the severed feet. Treasure Chest of Horrors. Percival Pirate goes on a journey to discover his grandpappy's hidden treasure chest. What he believes is treasure turns out to be 4 never-before-seen horror films. Treasure Chest of Horrors. House of Ghosts. Writer-director Christopher pays tribute to the works of William Castle, the master of classic horror. The House of Ghosts. Horror film, shocking and astounding. You'll love it. If you love horror, you'll love Horror Ghosts. An American Ghost Story. When Paul, an unemployed writer, decides to rent and live in a house that's rumored to be haunted, he puts his life and his relationships in grave danger. Horror. Revenant. An American Ghost Story. Pieces of Talent. David, a local filmmaker, becomes obsessed with Charlotte, an aspiring actress working as a waitress, and begins filming a gory masterpiece. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. I Will Follow You into the Dark. A woman reeling from the death of her parents becomes attached to an alluring man whose sudden disappearance sends her and her friends into a haunted high-rise to find him. Roadside Massacre. 5 teens struggle for their lives after becoming stranded in a cannibal-infested mountain town. Roadside Massacre. Horror. House in the Alley. Until they lose their baby to a miscarriage, a young couple were happily settling into their new life in their spacious home. House in the Alley. 4 Dead Girls, The Soul Taker. The Rental is a horror feature film about 4 girls who move into their first off-campus house only to find that their owner is a soul eater. Comedy and horror. Pretty Dead. Looks pretty dead to me. After killing and cannibalizing several men and being found unfit for trial, Regina desperately tried to convince her psychiatric caregivers that she wasn't mentally ill. Drama, horror. So she's killing people and eating them. Sin Reaper in 3D. Having been tortured by nightmarish visions for years, Sam travels to Germany to find the truth about her past. Her journey leads her to a former convent, where she and her friends must escape a murderer. Seventh Day. A pervert, murderer, and hopeless romantic, Alan Dean is on a 7-day journey to discover his real true love. Horror. Murder University. A series of brutal cult-like murders were taking place at a New England college. Horror, mystery, and thriller. The tuition isn't all that will kill you. Tater City. A cannibal dictator brings Tater City's crime rate next to zero by using a mass control radio wave emission. Body horror, action horror, sci-fi. Tater City. Chainsaw Babe 3D. After an uninvited guest attacks her boyfriend, the unsuspecting hot babe is forced to fight for her life while wearing nothing but a chainsaw. This babe is gonna get dirty. Action, animation, horror, in short. Bleeding Through. Lindsay loses touch with reality after her parents are lost in a brutal car accident. Drama and horror. Featuring Lindsay. The Last Alchemist. In a cave, an ancient and mysterious rite is about to be performed. 7 girls will be sacrificed to grant another life to the 1,000-year-old alchemist. Drama, fantasy, horror, and thriller. Cut Print. A group of ambitious filmmakers set out to create the world's first reality horror movie. Their plan was simple. They'd offer an active serial killer complete anonymity and a worldwide platform from which to display his work. So basically, they're going to film real-life murders. Face. College students' disturbing actions on Halloween night lead to extreme consequences at a sorority house. Reveals through leaked evidence showing series of horrific events. Horror and thriller. Piranha Man vs. Werewolf Man. Howl of the Piranha. Piranha Man vs. Werewolf Man details the epic generations-long battle between two of nature's most perfect killing machines. Comedy and horror. You know that's a low-budget movie. Paranormal Captivity. After the death of her husband, a penniless woman moves into the home of her uncle. Strange things begin to occur. Is the house haunted, or is it something more? Cross-bearer. Heather is broke. She has a soul-sucking job as a stripper. Her living girlfriend, Victoria, has a baby and a coke problem. Horror. Cross-bearer. We love it. We love it. Run, hide, die. 5 girls, 1 secret. Revenge stalks them in the night. Horror and thriller. No mercy, no escape. Run, hide, die. The Housewife Slasher. When a young girl is murdered in cold blood, the investigation, 2 detectives into the heart of suburban America, where no one is who they seem to be. Horror, mystery, and thriller. The Housewife Slasher. Race War, the remake. What happens when the white man brings her smack into Soda's hood? Comedy and horror. So this horror movie takes place in the hood. A lot of stereotypes. President Wolfman. The President of the United States has been bitten by a werewolf and is loose on the streets of Washington on a killing rampage. So picture President being bitten by a werewolf, and now he's killing people. On a dark and stormy night, friends gather on Halloween night for the last party of their lives. Dark comedy, horror, and thriller. Can you imagine that? Hey, you're all coming to the Halloween party, and then you die. Bad versus worse. A young man persuades his younger brother into robbing a chain of houses with them. Unfortunately for them, one of the houses on their list belongs to a sadistic serial killer. Whoops, they got the wrong house. Killer Cart. The shopping cart. 4 wheels, 1 basket, and tonight for the closing crew of a small-town grocery store, a blood-splattered aluminum nightmare. Killer Cart. I would love to see Killer Cart. Oh yeah, I have seen Killer Cart. Yeah. Goosebumps, the movie. A call center agent endures daily abuse from customers while maintaining a secret relationship with her married supervisor. Horror. Goosebumps, the movie. Creeper. Intending to get the revenge against the online weirdos lurking undetected, Four friends try to expose a hardened pervert, but when their plan fails short, will they live to breathe another day? Leaving D.C. After 20 years in D.C., Mark Klein moves to remote West Virginia, seeking peace. He sends videos to his OCD group back home, but soon suspects he's being watched from the surrounding endless woods. Astro Zombies, M4 invaders from cyberspace. Mutant hordes are sent to annihilate mankind. Again, there must be around 30 zombie movies so far for 2012. Sick. Three parents decide to kill the guy who murdered their children. I love it. Three parents decide to kill the guy who murdered their children. I'm all for that. Revenge. Revenge. We love revenge. Attacked on set. A group of young, hot new actors and crew move production to a new studio in a remote area of a Midwest town. Attacked on set. So now you know they're going to be killing the actors. Bloody Christmas. And a small town police are in search of for a child murderer. Meanwhile, Rich has been an 80s action movie star attempting to figure out the meaning of Christmas. Horror. The bloodiest Christmas story ever told. Driving lessons. Now look at that face, Michael Myers. In John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween, Michael Myers was suddenly able to drive a car after having sat in the sanitarium and stare at the wall. This movie covers how Michael Myers got driving lessons. Driving lessons. Spread. A sexually transmitted disease causes students to drop dead at an alarming rate on a Midwest campus. When Cameron discovers his girlfriend is the first victim, he becomes the first suspect. A fantastic fear of everything. A crime novelist whose research on Victorian serial killers has turned him into a paranoid wreck must confront his worst fears when a film executive takes a sudden interest in his movie script. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, discovers vampires are planning to take over the United States. He makes it his mission to annihilate them. Can you imagine them making a movie with Donald Trump killing zombies or vampires? That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Abraham Lincoln versus the zombies. While the Civil War rages on, President Abraham Lincoln must undertake an even more daunting task, destroying the Confederate undead. We love Abraham Lincoln. Now picture Donald Trump killing zombies and vampires. After, when two bus crash survivors awake to discover that they are only being left in their town, they work together to unravel the truth behind the strange events. B-horror, dark fantasy, and horror. Aftershock. In Chile, a group of travelers who are in an underground nightclub when a massive earthquake hits quickly, reaching the surface in just the beginning of their nightmare. That was a good movie. I liked it. It's very action-packed, featuring Eli Roth. A little bit of zombie. Infected by a virus, a mild-mannered HR manager attempts to fulfill his overwhelming desire for brains. A little bit of zombie. So there must be like 40 zombie movies already. Amber Alert. When a group of friends decide to follow a car they've seen posted on Amber Alert, things start to go very wrong. So they want to follow it, right, to rescue the victim, but maybe they're going to start getting hunted. American Mary. The allure of easy money sends Mary Mason, a medical student, into the world of underground surgeries, which ends up leaving more marks on her than her so-called freakish clients. American Mary. Another. After a chain of deaths at a junior high school, new transfer student Kochi turns to a mysterious girl who holds the key to a dark mystery. Next up we have is Antiviral. In Blackly satirical near future, a thriving industry sells celebrity illnesses to their obsessed fans. Antiviral. Body horror, horror, and mystery. Sounds pretty creepy to me. Arachnoquake. An earthquake triggers a brood of giant fire-breathing spiders to attack the city of New Orleans. Action, adventure, comedy, and horror. Arachnoquake. So now you got spiders attacking New Orleans. ATM. I think I saw ATM. On a late night visit to an ATM, three co-workers end up in a desperate fight for their lives when they become trapped by an unknown man. ATM. Bait. A freak tsunami traps shoppers at a colossal Australian supermarket inside the building, along with 12-foot great white sharks. I saw Bait. Bait is also high energy and it's pretty good. Pretty good. Barricade. A father's quiet retreat to the woods with his two children turns into a fight for survival. Barricade. We love Barricade. We love it. Horror, mystery, and thriller. Resident Evil Damnation. Or Biohazard. Special Agent Leon Kennedy goes against his superior's orders and works to destroy a series of biological weapons being used in a war zone in Europe. Black Rock. Three childhood friends set aside their personal issues and reunite for a girls' weekend on a remote island off the coast of Maine. Supernatural horror, and thriller. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. Bloodwork. Two college students volunteer for pharmaceutical testing to make some extra cash. You can give blood, but if you're going to start volunteering to get injections, you're pretty much going to die prematurely. Ugh. Bunshin Saba. A novel writer discovers that her husband is released from prison and is after her son, and soon she takes a hideout in an old house where mysterious events begin to happen. Next up we have is Caesar and Otto's Deadly Christmas. In this interstitial comedy horror film, and his brother take on duties as Santa and his elf. Parody, comedy, and horror. Deadly Christmas. Chained. A young man held prisoner by a cab driver serial killer must make a life or death choice between following in his captor's footsteps or breaking free. Serial killer, tragedy, crime, drama. Chernobyl Diaries. 6 tourists hire an extreme tour guide who takes them to the abandoned city Pripyat, the former home to the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear reactor. This movie is found footage. It's very creepy and eerie. Childish Games. Julia becomes an orphan and is taken in by Laura and Daniel, one of her father's childhood friends. The child makes Daniel remember the horrifying past he had chosen to bury. Citadel. An agoraphobic father teams up with a renegade priest to save his daughter from the clutches of a gang, twisted feral children who committed an act of violence against the family years earlier. Psychological horror and thriller. Cockneys versus zombies. Again, a gang of bank robbers fight their way out of zombie-infested London. I think I already just covered this, so we're going to cover it again. But check out Cockneys versus zombies. You'll love it. Countdown is progressing. Some young people invite a mysterious stranger to their home for a crazy night of fun on New Year's Eve. The drugs, they start to take effect, but the fun turns into real terror. Countdown, horror, mystery, and thriller. Crawl Space. The Gates family dream house turns quickly into a nightmare when their life is disturbed by the deranged previous owner who plots to retake his home and the Gates children for his own. Horror and thriller. Crawl Space. Almost like a nod to John Wayne Gacy. Creeper. Attending to get revenge against their online weirdos lurking undetected, 4 friends try to expose a hardened pervert. Horror. Creeper. This may be a repeat, but so what? Dark Shadows. An imprisoned vampire, Barnabas Collins, is set free and returns to his ancestral home, where his dysfunctional descendants are in need of his protection. Dark fantasy vampire horror featuring Johnny Depp. Dark Tide. A professional diver, Tudors returns to deep waters after 1 year following an almost fatal encounter with a great white shark. Dark Tide. Survival, horror, and thriller. Dark Tourist. A psychological thriller in the haunting tradition of films like Taxi Driver and Monster. Drama and thriller, Dark Tourist. You'll never know who you encounter because you may wind up dead. Dead Before Dawn 3D. A group of college kids accidentally create and then unleash a curse that makes anyone they come into contact with kill themselves and turn into zombie demons. Dead Before Dawn. Dead Souls. John Petrie learns on his 18th birthday that he was adopted after inheriting a farm in Maine. Eager to start a new life, Johnny leaves a home so he can begin fresh in this new dwelling. Dead Souls. The Devil's Carnival. Lost souls enter the Devil's Carnival, where they're each faced with the sins they committed during life. Horror. I like this title. Don't click. You better not click if you want to survive. So it must be a website or something. But don't click. Like don't touch, people touch. Don't open the door, they open the door. So don't let the river beast get you. Don't let the river beast get you. In this campy throwback to 1950s monster films, a vicious monster has risen from its watery lair to terrorize a small New England town. Maybe you should get a life hero before it's too late. Dracula 3D. Asia Argento stars in the horror legend Dario Argento's sexy spin on the classic tale about the sharp-toothed count who craves human blood. The Devil Inside. In Italy, a woman becomes involved in a series of unauthorized exorcisms during her mission to discover what happened to her mother. Body horror, found footage horror. The Devil Inside. Elevator. We love Elevator. Racism collides with corporate greed when 9 strangers, one of whom has a bomb, becomes trapped in a Wall Street elevator. Elevator. Look at the blood on the R. Look at the blood. Entity. In 1998, 34 unidentified bodies were found in shallow graves in a remote Siberian forest. After investigations, no official explanation by the authorities was ever given. Horror and thriller. Found. A horror-obsessed boy discovers his older brother is a serial killer. Coming-of-age found footage horror. We love it. We love it. Frankenweenie. When a boy's beloved dog passes away suddenly, he attempts to bring the animal back to life through a powerful science experiment. Monster horror parody stop-motion animation, but it's a horror film. Fresh Meat. A dysfunctional gang of criminals takes a middle-class Maori family hostage and discovers too late that they are the cannibals. Fresh Meat. So they take people hostage, but now they're going to be eaten alive. Frost. A young couple, physiologist and filmmaker, wake up at a glacier camp to find the camp mysteriously abandoned and their co-workers gone. Horror, sci-fi, and thriller. Frost. Pretty creepy. Grabbers. I think we just covered Grabbers. When an island off the coast of Ireland is invaded by blood-sucking aliens, the heroes discover that getting drunk is the only way to survive. Grabbers. I love this movie. Grave Encounters 2. A film student who is obsessed with the movie Grave Encounters sets out with his friends to visit the psychiatric hospital depicted in the original film. Found footage. We love found footage films. Greystone Park. 3 aspiring filmmakers document inexplicable events in a haunted, abandoned mental institution. Greystone Park. Horror and thriller. We love found footage. Hellbenders. The Augustine Interfaith Order of Hellbound Saints, a team of blasphemous ministers who live in a constant state of debauchery, work to drag the worst of demons back to hell. Hellbenders 3D. Here Comes the Devil. A couple loses their children near some caves in Tijuana. The children return to the parents the next day, unharmed. However, something has happened to them. Here Comes the Devil. And maybe they got possessed and now they start killing people. Horror Stories. Horror Stories tells the tale of a teenager who is abducted and forced to tell the scariest tale she knows, leading to this anthology of 4 stories. Hotel Transylvania. Dark comedy, animation, horror. Dracula, who operates a high-end resort away from the human world, goes into the overprotective mode when a boy discovers the resort and falls for the Count's teenage daughter. House at the End of the Street. After moving with her mother to a small town, a teenager finds that an accident happened in the house at the end of the street. House at the End of the Street. I love this movie. House hunting. 2 families looking for a new home go to an isolated open house. But when they find a girl with no tongue, they soon discover they can't leave. Horror, mystery, and thriller. House hunting. House on the Hill. Based on a true story, House on the Hill chronicles the outrageous 1980s murder spree of a serial killer, Leonard Lake, who would target, kidnap, rob, and kill people, and even whole families. House on the Hill. I Am a Ghost. A troubled ghost haunts her former home daily, unable to move on. When a psychic named Sylvia steps in, she helps uncover disturbing secrets from the past that might set Emily free. Painless. In the 30s, a group of children are born with a rare condition. They feel no pain. After being locked away for their life and their own safety, the children are subjected to rehabilitation away from society. John dies at the end. A new street drug that sends its users across time and into dimensions has one drawback. Some people return no longer human. Can 2 college dropouts save humanity from this silent, otherworldly invasion? Jurassic Shark. When an oil company unwittingly unleashes a prehistoric shark from its icy prison, the Jurassic Killer maroons a group of thieves and beautiful young female college students on an abandoned island. Killjoy Goes to Hell. Killjoy is back in this 4th installment of the Demonic Clown series. This time, Killjoy is being accused of not being evil. Comedy and horror. Remember Jason Goes to Hell? Killjoy Goes to Hell. Lessons of the Evil. A popular high school teacher concocts an extreme plan to deal with the rise of bullying and bad behavior among the student body. So listen, he's going to get revenge on all the bullies, maybe kill them or something. The Lords of Salem. Radio DJ Heidi has sent a box containing a record, a gift from the Lords. The sounds within the grooves trigger flashbacks of her town's violent past. The Lords of Salem. Maniac, featuring Elijah Wood. As he helps a young artist with her upcoming exhibition, the owner of a mannequin shop's deadly suppressed desire comes to the surface. Maniac. Croczilla. A 36-foot crocodile goes on the rampage in Beijing after being moved from a peaceful crocodile farm and onto the menu of a local gangster. Next that we have is Mind Games. Made for TV, a group of young friends make an incomprehensible discovery in an abandoned mine. But the more they try to change the future, the more they steal their fate. Mind Games. My Super Psycho Sweet 16 Part 3. Sky Rotter is finally ready to put her bloody past behind her. Just when she's heading off to college, though, she receives an unexpected call from her estranged sister, Alex. Comedy, drama, horror, and mystery. Night of the Living Dead Resurrection. The deceased have risen with the instinct to feed on the living as a family is trapped during a zombie apocalypse. I love zombie movies if they're made well. This 2012 is full of zombie movies. No Vacancy. 7 friends on a road trip break down near a rest stop motel where they encounter a seemingly helpful group of people. Convinced to stay overnight, the friends wake up in their rooms to a gruesome and bloody terror. No One Lives. A gang of ruthless highway killers kidnap a wealthy couple traveling cross country only to shockingly discover that things are not what they seem. No One Lives. Gangster. One-person army action. Psycho thriller horror. Outpost. Black Sun. The year is 1945, the closing stages of World War II, and a German scientist by the name of Klausener is working on a frightening new technology. Action, horror, and sci-fi. Paranormal Activity 4. It has been 5 years since the disappearance of Katie and Hunter, and a suburban family witnessed strange events in their neighborhood when a woman and a mysterious child move in. Piranha 3DD. After the events at Lake Victoria, the prehistoric school of bloodthirsty piranhas make their way into a newly opened water park. I love Piranha 3DD. I love it. Playback. A teenager investigates the case of a missing local baby, though he discovers a dark secret that has been unleashed in this town, an evil spirit that will stop at nothing to find its heir. Playback. Prometheus. Following clues to the origin of mankind, a team finds a structure on a distant moon, but they soon realize they are not alone. Maybe you should get a life of your own before it's too late. Byzantium. Two mysterious women seek refuge at a rundown British seaside resort. Vampire horror. Byzantium. Not to be confused with the 1977 movie, An Evening in Byzantium. Puppet Master 10. Axis Rising. Danny and Beth must battle the Nazis after they use the puppet's life-giving serum to create a race of immortal soldiers. Action, comedy, fantasy, and horror. Puppet Master 10. Excision. A disturbed delusional high school student with aspirations of a career in medicine goes to extremes to earn the approval of her controlling mother. Body horror and dark comedy. Excision. Barabian Sound Studios. A sound engineer's work for an Italian horror studio becomes a terrifying case of life imitating art. Barbarian Sound Studio. Rec 3 Genesis. We love the Rec movies. A couple's wedding day turns horrific as some of the guests start showing signs of a strange illness. I love Rec. Rec 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all equally good. Red Clover. A young woman accidentally releases a homicidal leprechaun while hunting, which brings back memories of her town's deadly past. Red Clover, or Leprechaun's Revenge. Resident Evil Retribution. Alice fights alongside the resistance movement to regain her freedom from an Umbrella Corporation testing facility. One-person army action zombie horror. We love Resident Evil. Resolution. A man imprisons his estranged junkie friend in an isolated cabin in the boonies of San Diego to force him through a week of sobriety, but the events of that week are being mysteriously manipulated. Return of the Killer Shrews. 53 years after being attacked by killer shrews on a remote island, Captain Thorne Sherman is hired by a reality television crew to return to the island in question. Return of the Killer Shrews. Rise of the Zombies. We love zombies. When zombies overrun San Francisco, a desperate group survives by locking themselves inside Alcatraz. Now see, zombies have no way to get to Alcatraz. They can't swim. They're not going to get on a boat. So you're pretty much safe on Alcatraz. Sadako 3D. The spiteful ghost of Sadako, a murdered woman whose body was thrown down a well, reaches the internet searching for a host in order to live once again. So she's on the internet now, infecting people. Sand Shark. The residents of a small town team up to kill a group of evolved sharks that can swim in sand and are terrorizing local beaches. Haha, I love it. So now they can swim underneath the water into the sand onto the shores. Saturday Morning Mystery. A dark and bloody parody about a Scooby-Doo-like team of paranormal investigators and their devoted dog. Saturday Morning Mystery. Featuring Scooby-Doo. 7 Below. A group of strangers trapped in time in a time warp house where a terrible event transpired exactly 100 years prior. Horror and thriller with Val Kilmer. We love it. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Silent Night. The police force of a remote Midwestern town search for a killer Santa Claus who is picking off citizens on Christmas Eve. Pretty scary, huh? Santa Claus? Who killed you? Santa Claus? What? You know how many Santa Clauses there are? That could be anybody. Silent Hill Revelation. When her adoptive father disappears, Sharon is drawn into a strange and terrifying alternate reality that holds answers to the horrific nightmares that have plagued her since childhood. Sinister. A controversial true crime writer finds a box of Super 8 home movies in his new home, revealing that the murder case he is currently researching could be the work of an unknown serial killer. Sinister. That was pretty gory. Sorority Party Massacre. A detective from a big city and a small town sheriff close in on a serial killer. Slasher horror, comedy, and horror. Sorority Party Massacre. Stitches. A clown comes back from the dead to haunt those who took his life during a fatal party mishap. I saw Stitches. So how can people have to come back to life to get revenge? Why can't you just go to heaven? But they want to give back revenge. Like, if I die, you're going to die too. Stores 24. In London, a military plane crashes, leaving its highly classified contents strewn across the city. Monster, horror, sci-fi. Storage 24. The Tall Man. When her child goes missing, a mother looks to unravel the legend of the Tall Man, an entity who allegedly abducts children. The Tall Man. Thanatomorphos. Thanatomorphos, a Hellenic word referring to the visible signs of an organism's decomposition caused by death. Body horror. Thanatomorphos. Butcher Boys. I think we just covered Butcher Boys. We'll cover it again. A birthday celebration at a fancy restaurant leads to some friends' encounter with flesh-peddling creatures. Action, comedy, horror, and thriller. The Butcher Boys. The Facility. Again, we covered The Facility. Let's do it again. 8 volunteers find themselves fighting for their lives when a drug trial goes horribly wrong. The Facility. We love The Facility. The Haunting of the Whaley House. Again, we've already covered this. When a tour guide breaks into America's most haunted house, a bit of amateur ghost hunting with friends turns into more than they could have ever imagined. The Haunting of the Whaley House. The Apostle. An escaped prison convict attempts to retrieve a loot hidden years ago in a lonely village. Folk horror, stop motion animation, and horror. The Apparition. A couple is haunted by a supernatural presence that is unleashed during a college experiment. The Apparition. Once you believe, you die. So do you believe? No, I don't. Okay, but once you believe, you die. The Bay. I love The Bay. Chaos breaks out in a small Maryland town after an ecological disaster occurs. The Bay. B horror, body horror, and found footage. We love The Bay. The Cabin in the Woods. I love The Cabin in the Woods. A group of kids go to a remote cabin in the woods where their fate is unknowingly controlled by technicians as part of a worldwide conspiracy where all horror movie cliches are revealed to be part of an elaborate sacrifice ritual. The Haunting of Helena. A single mother moves into a new house with her daughter. Soon after the young girl has her first baby tooth fall off, she begins to recount that she is having nocturnal visits by a tooth fairy. The Haunting of Helena. The Human Race. 80 people vanish and reappear somewhere unknown. From diverse backgrounds, they hear rules in their heads. Get lapped twice, leave the path, or touch grass, you die. The only choice is to race. The Human Race. The Perfect House. A young couple's dream home turns into a house of horrors when the disturbing violent acts of 3 generations of doomed families is reawakened for them to witness. Isn't that sad? They find a nice house, but it's ruined. The Barrens. A man takes his family on a camping trip and becomes convinced they are being stalked by the legendary monster of the New Jersey pines, the Jersey Devil. The Barons. The Collection. A man who escapes from the vicious grips of the serial killer known as the Collector is then forced to help rescue an innocent girl from the killer's booby-trapped lair. The Collection. We love The Collection. The Pact. As a woman struggles to come to grips with her past in the wake of her mother's death and the disappearance of her sister, an unsettling presence emerges in her childhood's home. The Pact. The Possession. A young girl buys an antique box at a yard sale, unaware that inside the collectible lives a malicious ancient spirit. Body horror, supernatural horror, and thriller. The Possession. Don't open the box. The Sleeper. In 1981, new pledges are welcomed to a sorority, and the Sleeper clandestinely spies on the girls, prompting to kill them at their most vulnerable. The Sleeper. This is a tip to 1981. The Thompsons. On the run with the law on their trail, America's most anguished vampire family heads to England to find an ancient vampire clan. What they find instead could tear their family and their throats apart forever. The Thompsons. Toad Road. A portrait of contemporary youth culture where the lines between reality and fiction are blurred with often frightening results. Toad Road. Truth or Die. I love it. Young British boys and girls travel to an isolated cabin after being promised a night of heavy partying. Instead of that they hoped for, they meet a killer out to wreak vengeance for what they did to his dead brother. Tulpa, Demon of Desire. Lisa Bourret is a successful businesswoman obsessed with her career on day, but on night she is visiting private nightclubs. Tulpa, club where your sickest, most erotic fantasies come true. The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. After the birth of Renesmee Nessie, the Cullens gather other vampire clans in order to protect the child from a false allegation that puts the family in front of the Volturi. Under the Bed. Two brothers team up to battle a creature under the bed. B-horror, monster horror, supernatural horror. Next up we have is Underworld Awakening. When human forces discover the existence of a vampire and Lycan clans, a war to eradicate both species commences. Dark fantasy and supernatural fantasy. Underworld Awakening. Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning. John looks to take down Luke Devereaux after a home invasion claims his wife and daughter. The fight pits John against Andrew Scott and an army of genetically enhanced warriors. Universal Soldier. Vamps. Romantic comedy, vampire horror. Blood-sucking party girls. Alicia Silverstone find their destinies at stake when one falls for the son of a vampire hunter and the other encounters a long-ago love. VHS. When a group of misfits are hired by an unknown third party to burglarize a desolate house and acquire a rare VHS tape, they discover more found footage than they bargained for. VHS. War of the Worlds, a true story. War of the Worlds' true story is based on the most beloved alien invasion story of all time. Action, horror, and sci-fi. War of the Worlds, a true story. Clever like Wells. Werewolf, the Beast Among Us. Set in a 19th century village, a young man studying under a local doctor joins a team of hunters on the trail of a wolf-like creature. Werewolf, the Beast Among Us. Where the Dead Go to Die. A troubled group of children living on a small block are haunted by a talking dog named Labby, who brings them on a surreal hell ride between different dimensions and time periods. Where the Dead Go to Die. The Woman in Black. A young solicitor travels to a remote village where he discovers that the vengeful ghost of a scorned woman is terrorizing the locals. The Woman in Black, featuring Daniel Radcliffe. Would You Rather? Desperate to help her ailing brother, a young woman unknowingly agrees to compete in a deadly game of Would You Rather, hosted by a sadistic aristocrat. Would You Rather. That was pretty good and clever. I like the movie. When the Lights Went Out. Poltergeists attack a family in Yorkshire during the 1974 nationwide blackouts. When the Lights Went Out. This movie is good and creepy. Yellow. A dramedy horror centered on Mary Holmes, a young woman with a drug habit and a myriad of other problems. Yellow. Featuring Ray Liotta and Melanie Griffith. And lastly, You Can't Kill Stephen King. A group of friends visit a lake where horror author Stephen King lives and start getting killed off one at a time. Comedy and horror. Horror is king. Those were the best, scariest horror films of 2012. We covered a ton of films here. What were some of your favorite movies that you remember for 2012? What was the common theme? The most common theme of 2012 were zombie movies. You had zombie versus werewolves, zombie versus cockney people, vampires versus zombies, and just a bunch of group of friends, a group of friends, a group of friends. But the common theme, I would say 80% of the movies of this for 2012 were zombie movies. So that must have been the big hit, 2012 and 13 zombie film. People love getting scared by zombies. They love the makeup and the effects and the jump scares and so on and so forth. All right, so those were the best horror films of 2012. Thank you for joining me here at Yesteryear TV. Any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you all real soon.